we also want to talk about the Nexus 7, which is not an Apple product. In fact, it's very much an Apple rival product.
It's so small, I lost it.
You're saying, where did the Nexus 7 go? Oh, it's just in the...
It's important to talk about on this show because everybody says that Apple's going to do an iPad roughly this size. Actually, it'll be a little bit bigger and it'll be squarer because this is 16 by 9.
Yeah, this is more of that...
widescreen kind of.
Widescreen.
Yeah. But I love this. I have to say, this is Ayaz's, but mine's at home, and for $200.
Yeah, $200.
And that's why it's a threat, too. I mean, Apple has got to respond with something in this price range, I think.
I think it's really interesting, and the reason this is relevant, yeah, not only because it's like, this is a tablet, obviously smaller than the iPad. Yeah. It's just a different, really, form factor completely, but that for the first time, no one seems to be able to find too much wrong with.
Right.
Well, there's some issues that isolated incidents that people are having.
But MG loves it, and that was a shock when I read MG's column. MG Siegler, who writes for TechCrunch and is a big iPad fan, loved this, and it kind of surprised me. And that's a measure.
It surprised him. You have no idea. He was like sort of looking at me like, I think this is really great. I can't believe I'm saying
I praise him for having an open mind, and Andy Iannacco too is on Mac Break Weekly. I've been a fan of Android for a long, long time. And when I had the Samsung Galaxy Tab 7-inch a year ago, I said, this is a perfect size. Because it's just a little smaller. You could put it in your pocket. You're more likely to carry it around. The iPad's just a little bit big compared to this.
It is. I mean, it's much bigger.
But what was different on the Galaxy Tab was it had a very poor version of Android. It had Honeycomb. This is Jelly Bean, the latest Android, and it's fast, it's fluid. And in many, it's still not as elegant as the iPad. Don't make no mistake about that. But in many ways, it's a good, strong competitor.
I think for our purposes, we still haven't gotten any official announcement from Apple, but all signs point to there will be an iPad Mini or something that's called, well, I don't know what it'll be called, later this year. And when that time comes, we'll be featuring it on this show because, of course, this is iPad Today.
You bet.
And this gives me a really good indication of what I can hope for. Of what I've seen of the Nexus 7 so far, there are things that I like. There are things that I like less. And it'll be interesting to see what Apple does because they know that something like this that's a hit will erode their numbers. The iPad has never really had a true competitor. Well, technically they've had lots of competitors, but nothing that really took much from Apple's market share because the iPad was it was the tablet to beat and it hasn't been beaten. This is not a direct competitor also because, again, different form factor. A lot of people say it's a Amazon Kindle Fire killer.
Well, yeah, let me ask you, when you read in bed, do you read on the iPad?
Totally.
Okay. See, the nice thing about this is a little smaller, so it just seems like this is the Kindle app.
It's more...
It's a little bit more suited.
It's closer to the size of your average book.
Yeah, it just feels more like you would read this in bed.
Well, and you can, let me see, I have smaller hands than you. Yeah, this is not so comfortable, but I can palm this.
Right.
At least in portrait mode.
Well, I prop the iPad on a pillow and I go like, I look at it sideways like this.
Yeah, and then you have to make sure that you have the rotate lock on, or it just keeps locking.
I do rotate lock it for that same reason, yeah.
Yeah, because I know, I actually do like to read.
This is very crisp, too. I don't know if you could tell how good it's almost a Retina display. It's very high quality display.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
I do like the small form factor, and I guess just because none of the 7-inch tablets spoke to me beforehand, I haven't really paid much attention to why it can be better than the 10-inch model in certain situations. Well, that doesn't look very good.
Well, that's
just because
poor formatting on that book. But
yeah. So that's the Nexus 7, and I don't know. I'll see if I can pry it out of your hands when the iPad Mini comes out.
It's a harbinger of things to come.
Yes, exactly. This is the future, or one of them anyway. It's part of the future. The future still being written.